Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you, dear devotees, for joining in session 9 of our Nectar of Instruction series. So today, this is the penultimate session. The last one will be next week, Tuesday. We'll be covering verses 9 through 11 today. The glories of Radha Kunda. The geography of divine intimacy. So we're going to be entering the most confidential and sublime section of the Nectar of Instruction, where Rupa Goswami reveals the supreme secret of Gaudiya Vaishnava theology. These last 3 verses. But before we get into that, let's do a quick recap of our journey so far. The first verse was about self-control, restraint of speech, mind, anger, and the senses. This is the foundation of spiritual life. It is framed from the point of view of somebody who's looking for a spiritual master. Like right off the bat, you know that you'll need a spiritual guide. So these are the qualities of a spiritual guide. Right? Prithvim sashishya. But also, it's not just that only the teacher has to have these qualities. We are also meant to be cultivating those qualities right off the bat as well. We are supposed to restrain our speech and mind. Vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam. It's instruction for us as well. Because eventually, the expectation is that the student will become the teacher. Every student in spiritual life has to train to become a teacher. They may not be a formal teacher, but the world will look up to them as practitioners and therefore teachers, representatives. So all of us who are practitioners have to also cultivate these aspects of self-control. That's the very first point. Then before we get too far on our path, we are warned about the pitfalls on the path of bhakti. Just like you're going to go on a journey and you have a travel advisory. Where to go, where to not go, what to look out for, what to totally avoid, and things like that. So your journey doesn't get derailed. So the 6 obstacles we talked about that destroy devotional progress. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagra. Over collecting, overeating, talking nonsense, talking bad about other people, over endeavoring, not having respect for the rules, associating with the wrong kind of people, janasangas, and then being too greedy for material things. Then the 6 favorable principles that nourish your bhakti. It helps bhakti grow, and Prabhupada says that these will guarantee the complete success of Krishna consciousness. Utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, etc. enthusiasm, determination, patience, and so forth. Those are the 6 favorable principles that help bhakti grow. And one of those 6 was also to avoid bad company. The previous verse number 2, engaging in bad hanging out with the wrong kind of people. And then verse number 3 is avoiding bad association. So the commonality between 2 and 3 was the association bit, which highlights the importance of who we associate with, our relationships. So we want to associate with progressive devotees. How do we engage in developing these relationships? 6 loving exchanges. Priti lakshanam. Dadati pratigyanati. Guhyam makhyati prichati bhungte bhojayate. So giving gifts, receiving gifts, opening your heart, listening to somebody when they are confidentially opening up their hearts, offering them prasadam, accepting prasadam from them. These 6 items. That's how we exchange love between devotees. Now, of course, we have so many varieties of devotees, right? Are we going to have the same level of closeness, same level of exchange with every single one equally? No. We recognize that there are different levels. There are 3 levels, at least 3 broad categories. And we are taught to respect and honor all of them. All levels of devotees have to be respected and honored. Honor the beginners and those who are, they want to be devotees, they're trying to be devotees, but they're not, their association can actually be hurtful. You still honor them. Those are the kanishtas. And then you associate more closely with those who are advanced and progressive, those who know how to treat everybody nicely, those who are focused on their growth and they're very positive. You make friends with them. And then the topmost rare devotees who have given their lives completely to Krishna, to spreading the holy name. They live exemplary lives in spirituality, and they are perfect in their behavior. To those devotees, we seek them out, we serve them, we surrender to them, we learn from them very closely. So that's what we learned in number 5, that we have to still discern between the different categories of devotees. We discriminate. Not in a bad way, it's in a good way. But when you talk about discrimination and discernment, we could do it in a bad way, and that's what we want to avoid too. So verse number 6 focuses on that. It gives the analogy of the Ganga. Even if there's a foam or mud, the Ganga is still pure. So even though a devotee may have external bodily problems like some complexion issues or some rash or maybe deformity, but that doesn't change their purity. Pure devotee remains pure devotee. See? So even in humble forms, we see the purity. So we are warned not to discriminate on the wrong plane, on the wrong platform. You see their inner qualities, see their behavior, their character. Not what family they're born in, or if they have, some issues with their hair or whatever. No, those things are not important. It's a risk, big risk if we judge them based on that. So we want to avoid that. Then, verse number 7, we get into the actual core of the practice, which is chanting. Steady practice. Requires patience, enthusiasm, determination. That's the one where we explore this idea of, where we are suffering from the jaundice of avidya, jaundice of illusion, ignorance, thinking we're this body. But if we're consistent and we're patient in our chanting process, then we'll develop that taste, the taste for that sugarcane juice, that taste that we've lost. And then, once that taste awakens a little bit, then we are given the essence of all advice, which is what? Constant remembrance, all the time. Right? All the time, continuous. We talked about that, how it's possible. And Tishtan Vraje, go to Vraja. Find the person who's living in Vraja Bhakti, who's absorbed in Vraja Bhakti, means the sweet, intimate exchange of the devotees of Vrindavan. So that's the flavor of service and loving exchange, while also being constant all the time. Right? This is a recap of the 8 verses so far. Now we'll go into verse number 9. Vaikuntha janito vara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavad vrindaranyamudar pani ramanat tatrapi govardhana Radha kundamihapi gokulapate premamrita plavanat kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam vivekinaka. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all these, the super excellent Shri Radha Kund stands supreme. Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Shri Krishna. Where, then, is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? This is verse number 9 about Radha Kund. Verse number 10. Karmebhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayur jnanina tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtastata tebhyasta pashupala pankaja drishas tabhyopi saradhika preshta tadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tamnashrayet kakriti. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. So there's Karmi, Jnani, and Bhakta. Okay? Hope you can follow that pattern. This Bhakta, this person, he is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda, her lake, is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kund and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhava, render loving service to the divine couple, Shri Shri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Verse 11. Krishna yochai pranaya vasati preyasi bhyopi Radha kundam chasya muni bhirabitas tadrageva vadhai yat preshtairapyalamasulabham kim punar bhakti bhajam tat premedam sakridapi sara snatura vishkaroti. Of the many objects of favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Rajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So last week, in verse 8 of this Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami revealed the essence of the highest devotion. The kind of bhakti where every breath, every moment is fully absorbed in remembering Krishna. We learned that among all the different ways of serving Him, the most exalted, the highest devotees are those residents of Vrindavan. The way they serve Him, that's the highest. The Vrajavasis, whose hearts beat only for Krishna's happiness. Unparalleled, by far. Now in these final 3 verses, Rupa Goswami takes us on a pilgrimage. So imagine a sacred map, not of physical distances, but a map of intimacy with Krishna's love. Last week's verse 8, opened the door to Vraja. Tishtan Vrajed Tadanugami. Telling us that this land of Vraja and its people embody the highest devotion, the most intimate mood. Now today these verses from 9 to 11, they invite us to step inside. See, last week was just opening the door. But now, come in, step inside, walk deeper and deeper until we stand in the very epicenter of divine love. Epicenter means the exact point of the earthquake. The earthquake of divine love. We actually had an earthquake earlier today in New Jersey, right here. It's interesting. But this is a divine earthquake. Where is that? Where is that happening? This very quickly, small book, Nectar of Instruction, very quickly leads us from very rudimentary position all the way to the very core of the heart of Krishna. So first we pass through Mathura. Mathura is the blessed city where the Lord descended, where He was born. And then we go further into the lush forests of Vrindavan, where every tree whispers His pastimes. Then we come closer and closer to Govardhan. You can see Govardhan here in this painting. His beloved hill, lifted by His own hand to protect His devotees. And finally we arrive at the holiest of holy places, Radha Kund. This is the liquid heart of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. So these verses, they're like a zoom lens, moving closer and closer to the very heart of Bhakti, the most intimate, tender, super excellent expression of love for Krishna in all of existence, all of creation. And by following Rupa Goswami's path, we're not just learning about sacred geography. We're being invited into the inner chamber of divine affection, where Radha and Krishna's love eternally overflows. But before we can enter into Vraja, we must fully remember and understand all the sober and serious instructions about the nature of love between Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada says it all the time. It's not like the ordinary attraction between mundane, conditioned human beings. No. It is the highest expression of transcendental, loving exchange between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything emanates, and His divine internal energy. This is extremely important for us to keep in our hearts, lest we make an offense in the Holy Dham. Because now we are going into the Holy Dham, not physically, but with our hearts. We don't want to make an offense even like that. So we should understand that we approach with a great deal of respect. We are approaching Radha Kund. So let's look at this first verse number 9, with a question that seems almost contradictory. How can anything in the material world, this realm of suffering and death, be considered greater than Vaikuntha? He says Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is an eternal spiritual world free of anxiety, where Narayan resides. Rupa Goswami says that Mathura and its surroundings are spiritually superior to Vaikuntha itself. This feels like saying a tiny village in India is greater than the vast royal kingdom of God, which is endless. How can that be? The answer lies in a principle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself revealed. Wherever Krishna personally comes and performs his pastimes, that place becomes spiritually superior even to Vaikuntha. Why? Because intimacy with the Lord surpasses majesty. In Vaikuntha, the Lord is adored as the awe-inspiring supreme ruler. But in Vraja, He comes close enough to be touched, to be loved, and even corrected and chastised by His devotees. That's intimacy. This section of Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, describes a spiritual geography within the material world, like concentric circles around the heart of divine love, each one bringing us closer and closer to Krishna's most intimate pastimes. So Vaikuntha, this is the realm of majesty. Here, the Lord is worshipped with reverence, and His supreme power is obvious. Devotees relate to Him as the all-powerful Godhead. Then in Mathura, the Lord appears. The curtain of transcendence begins to open. God steps into time and space. Remember, Vaikuntha is beyond time and space. Here God steps, pulls it apart, and walks in. And there's a date stamp. He appeared 5,000 years ago in this physical space. Wow. That's amazing. Mathura is where He takes birth and begins His earthly pastimes, making this world more glorious than Vaikuntha itself. Then we go further into the 12 forests of Vrindavan. See, Mathura is a district, and within the district is Vrindavan. The 12 forests in particular. So we go into the greenery of Vrindavan. Every tree, every riverbank bears the imprint of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Here he herds cows. Here he steals butter. Here he picnics with his friends. And here he engages in that beautiful Ras Leela dance. The majesty of God is replaced with nothing but sweetness. Madhurya Dham. Every exchange in this forest is imbued with sweetness, Madhurya. Then we go on to Govardhan Hill. Intimacy deepens even further. Govardhan is not just a hill. It is a witness to Krishna's loving heroism. He lifts it up like an umbrella to protect his devotees. He walks its slopes with his cows and meets Srimati Radharani in secret bowers on Govardhan. This is divine love expressed through friendship, protection, and affection. This is Govardhan. And then finally, we reach Radha Kund, the innermost circle. Radha Kund is where Krishna's relationship with his most beloved Srimati Radharani overflows like nectar into a sacred lake. Physically, it's there. The water is there. It is love distilled to its purest essence. This is not simply geography. It is the very heart of God's divine intimacy made visible on this earth. It's not an ordinary tirthasthan. This is Krishna's love itself. That is Radha Kund. So you can see Vaikuntha Janito Vara Madhupuri. Madhupuri is Mathura. Tatra Pirasotsavat. Vrindaranya. Vrindaranya is the forest of Vrindavan. Then Govardhan. Radha Kund Mihapi Gokulapate. Premamrita Plavanat. Kuradasya Virajito Giridate. See, in these last few verses, Rupa Goswami becomes more poetic. He asks rhetorical questions. Who is that smart person who would not go to Radha Kund? If you're smart, you would be in Radha Kund right now. What are you doing over here? You see, the fact that you're not in Radha Kund means you're not that particularly smart in one sense. It's a poetic expression. Because you have access. It's a very important place. And you can see how in a book of 11 verses, 3 of them are dedicated to Radha Kund. So that's something. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he longed to find this sacred place, this most sacred of all places. During his Vrindavan tour, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu searched desperately for Radha Kund. At first, it was hidden. A small unmarked pond. When he finally found it, he bathed in its waters in ecstatic love, declaring that this is the holiest of all holy places. You can just imagine what he's going through. Because, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna who has come unhinged from the cumbersome rules and regulations of socially accepted behavior. He's dancing in ecstasy, jumping up and down, not knowing what he's saying, singing whenever, wherever, because he doesn't know how to handle that overflow of love, so it comes out in amazing ways. Form of madness. Then later he instructed his followers, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, to excavate that spot and reveal Radha Kund for the whole world to see. So even the Lord felt that the world should not be deprived of this treasure of divine love. And we have access to it today. Physically, we can go there. So, how should our attitude toward Radha Kund be? If even the Supreme Lord searched, longed, and revealed this most intimate place of love, how should we all devotees, aspiring devotees, approach it? Certainly not casually, as if it's just another pilgrimage spot, for taking pictures. No. We approach Radha Kund with awe, with humility, and a heart yearning to enter that same current of selfless devotion that flows there eternally. We keep that in mind. We can take a few drops of Radha Kund and put on our head, with all the respect at our command. That's verse number 9. Now verse number 10 talks about the hierarchy of devotees. If I asked you, who is the greatest among all living beings? Say you ask a generic person on the street. Many might say this rich person, that powerful politician, or this very saintly monk. But according to Rupa Goswami, spiritual greatness is measured not by wealth, knowledge, power, or external renunciation even, but by the depth of one's love for Krishna. That's the gradation. That's the hierarchy. In this verse, verse number 10, Rupa Goswami reveals this hierarchy of spiritual advancement. So just as we travel through the sacred geography of Vraja in verse 9, now we travel through the geography of the heart, ascending step by step to the supreme peak, the pinnacle of love. This is the journey of the soul. So let us imagine soul walking along a mountain path toward the summit of divine intimacy. Along the way, there are many resting points. There's Karmi stage, Jnani, Bhakta, Gopis, and finally Srimati Radharani, the supreme peak. So the first stage, the Karmis, fruitive workers, they're busy building mansions in a desert. They work tirelessly for material rewards, money, fame, pleasure, even heavenly enjoyments in the next life. But like sand castles, everything washes away with time. Scripture says, Kshine punya martya lokam vishanti in the Gita. Even if karmis reach heaven, they fall back down once their good deeds are expired. No matter how high you climb on this material realm, gravity pulls you back down into a cycle of birth and death. It's a cycle of gain, loss, gain, loss. It's not very attractive. Now some souls wake up from this madness and ask, is there something beyond material pleasure? They seek freedom from this cycle of suffering. They aim to merge or get some relief and merge into this impersonal existence, which is just nothing but existence. You get relief and that's it. This is noble because you want to come out of this selfishness. But it's also a form of selfishness. Why? Because while karmis are chasing mirages, jnanis are chasing emptiness. There's no loving exchange there. They're so eager to end the suffering that they overlook the positive goal of life, a loving relationship with the Supreme Being, the Supreme Person. So liberation without love is like escaping a prison just to stand outside the prison in an empty desert. There's freedom, but there's no joy. Beyond this is bhakti, devotion. The bhakta of Krishna realizes that true happiness is not in gaining or renouncing something material. Because there's nothing to do with material things. True happiness is found in serving Krishna with love. Now the soul begins to blossom like a bud opening into sunlight. The fourth level of devotee is gopis. Among the bhaktas, this one group shines above all others. These gopis of Vrindavan. Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu. These Vrajavadhu means the gopis of Vrindavan. Their love is completely devoid of any selfishness. They don't serve Krishna to escape suffering, nor to gain heaven, nor even to attain liberation. They want only one thing, Krishna's happiness. Even when he causes them pain by leaving for Mathura, they don't stop loving him in separation. They live in the fire of separation, but for them, thinking of him is more precious than any personal comfort. Their devotion is unconditional and unbreakable. And yet among all the gopis, there's one in particular who holds Krishna's heart completely. Srimati Radharani. Her love is not just pure, it is perfect and all-consuming. It controls the all-powerful Supreme Lord. It controls the Supreme Controller. Even Krishna cannot fully understand the depth of her love. He becomes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste what it feels like to love himself the way Radha does. Imagine that. The Supreme Lord is humbled and transformed by the love of his own devotee, Srimati Radharani. That is the power of Sri Radha's prem, her love. Is there anything higher than that then? What could be higher than that? That's where we see Radha Kund. This verse tells us that Radha's sacred lake, Radha Kund, is just as dear to Krishna as she is. That's the secret. Why? Because Radha Kund embodies her love. When we honor Radha Kund, we honor the highest devotion possible, the purest, the sweetest, most selfless love in all creation. So what do we do with this knowledge? This is verse number 10. Verse 11 will tell us it's not just about knowing where divine love resides. It's about entering that love. Rupa Goswami now opens the door to Radha Kund, inviting every sincere soul to bathe, not just physically, but within the heart in this ocean of prema. That's what verse number 11 is about. The supremacy of Radha Kund. So we travel from Vaikuntha's majesty to Mathura's blessings, to Vrindavan's forests, to Govardhan's sheltering love. Then we met the gopis, whose selfless devotion eclipses all other paths. And finally Srimati Radharani, whose love enchants even Krishna himself. Now, Rupa Goswami brings us to the innermost chamber of divine love, the place where Radha's heart has spilled over and become a sacred lake. This verse number 11 reveals the highest treasure. It's Radha Kund. So what makes Radha Kund so unique? See, many places in Vraja, they are holy because Krishna performed pastimes there. But Radha Kund is unique. It's not just a setting where pastimes took place. It is Radharani's own love made tangible. It's different. Krishna loves Radha above all others. And astonishingly, he loves her Kunda, this lake, just as much as he loves her. So these waters of Radha Kund are infused with her prem. Premamrita plavanat. Kuryadasya virajato giridate. They're liquid affection, liquid surrender, liquid longing for Krishna's pleasure. To approach Radha Kund is to approach the very essence of bhakti. And it's rare to get this darshan. Scriptures say that even exalted sages like Narada, Sanak, Sanatan, they rarely attain this blessing. It's not a place you reach just by pilgrimage. It's a gift of fortune, attained only by the mercy of Radharani and her dear devotees. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur warns us, don't think of Radha Kund as an ordinary tirtha. It is not a ritual bathing spot. It is the confidential meeting place of the divine couple, where even the greatest saints tread softly, overwhelmed by reverence. And yet Rupa Goswami promises something astounding. Even a single bath in Radha Kund can awaken pure love of Krishna in the heart. Yeah. How can this be? Because Radha Kund is not water, it is Radharani's personified energy, herself, inviting you into that love for Krishna. Now, this is not mechanical. It's not about physical water touching our skin. It's about our heart bathing in her mood. If we approach this water with humility, if we approach the process of Krishna consciousness with humility, longing to learn how to love Krishna, like the gopis do and how like she does, a mere spark of her mercy, of her prema, can ignite us and change the trajectory of our fortune completely. But we have to approach it with that level of respect. So picture this, we can do a meditation. It is a pre-dawn hour in Vraja. Soft mist hovers over Radha Kund. The water is still, like a mirror reflecting the moonlight. Suddenly, delicate footsteps approach. The Sakhis, the friends of Radha, arrive, giggling softly, preparing for her morning meeting with Krishna. Then Radharani herself, Her Royal Highness, comes to the Kunda. Her ankle bells are chiming, as her eyes are glancing with longing for her beloved. Where is my Krishna? As she enters the water, it shimmers with divine bliss, every drop carrying her ecstatic love for Krishna. To bathe here is not just to touch water. It is to touch the highest devotion ever known. A devotion that makes the all-powerful Supreme Lord surrender His own heart. So how do we approach Radha Kunda? We may not yet be qualified to physically live there, but we can begin today. We can start to connect with this highest gift of Gaudiya Vaishnavism by residing there mentally. How? We begin our japa. Before we chant japa, we can pray. O Srimati Radha Rani, please let my heart reside near your Kunda, the Radha Kunda, learning to love like you do. Simple prayer. We can make a pilgrimage. When visiting Radha Kunda, approach barefoot, soft-hearted, not as a tourist, but as a servant begging mercy. We offer our seva, our service, in the mood of the Manjaris. Manjaris are little girls who serve Srimati Radharani and the gopis. We follow the path of the gopis and the Manjaris, serving Radha's pleasure as the highest goal of life. Even from afar, we can meditate daily. Even from afar, living so far away from that sacred place, we can remember that the center of spiritual existence is not power, it's not wealth, it's not liberation, it's not awe. It is intimate loving service to Krishna under Srimati Radharani's guidance and the guidance of her servants. Our only aspiration is to be the servant of the servant of the servant of Srimati Radharani. So how do we do it? We reside there mentally. We make that humble pilgrimage of the heart. We serve in the mood of the Manjaris, who are the servants of the gopis. And we meditate daily, even from far. This is how we can bring this most divine space into our hearts, into the very space we're chanting today, no matter what country we're living in. So Rupa Goswami concludes the Nectar of Instruction here. This is the last verse of Nectar of Instruction. Not with rules or regulations, not even with instructions on chanting, but by pointing us to the heart of Bhakti. We are so fortunate that Prabhupada has brought this message to us. What is the heart of this Bhakti? It's embodied in a lake that silently preaches the greatest truth. Real spiritual life is not about knowing God's greatness. It's about learning to love Him the way His greatest devotees do, the way Srimati Radharani does. And that love is waiting for us at Radha Kunda. Srila Prabhupada has lovingly given his deep purports to these verses. And they will be beacons of guiding light for many generations of devotees to come. Our humble prayer is that we were able to help you all in some way gain a little more appreciation for these beautiful verses. And perhaps to take home some practical points to implement from the Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, the whole book, in your spiritual practice. Even as we navigate this difficult terrain of modern life. So I want to thank you very much for your kind attention and your valuable time. It really means a lot. The verses of Nectar of Instruction end here, but next week, the 10th session, we'll summarize all the practical take-home points we covered in the whole course. So don't miss next week. It's going to be a full summary of the take-home points and how we can apply them. That we covered so far, and we can have more time for open discussions. So my obeisances to all of you again. Hare Krishna, and thank you very much for your kind association. And it's been a real pleasure sharing this with you. I look forward to one more session next week. But we do have a few minutes right now if you want to open it up for any comments or any questions or anything else that you want to say. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Session 2 is a little bit different. So the questions will be a little different. Maybe there's no questions. Shyam Gopal Prabhu, go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Also, Radha Kunda, I think, is considered as a highest pilgrimage, the way you have put it today, right? So for other pilgrimage, because they are quoted highest in some other examples, like Shiva, it is, Varanasi, Kashi, right? So there we have this regular tours by some of the spiritual organization, right? So what ISKCON is doing to promote Radha Kunda? Is ISKCON having some regular pilgrimage to this dham?
Yes, so your question was whether ISKCON is in promoting pilgrimage to Radha Kunda. As far as I know, because of ISKCON's efforts, so many devotees have come to know about Radha Kunda. This little book has been distributed by the millions, and the Radha Kunda is right on the back cover of it. So definitely so many people, devotees, became aware of Radha Kunda because of ISKCON. ISKCON, I don't believe, needs to do any extra effort to get buses or something to go there. People, there it is. Rama Mataji was holding up the back cover. There it is. That's Radha Kund. That's the back cover of this Nectar of Instruction. Very, very, it's one of our best sellers. So, yeah. I'll tell you a quick story. When Prabhupada was physically here, he brought his disciples to Radha Kund and started bathing in it. And then they started swimming and started splashing each other, and Prabhupada got really upset. Because he saw they were not taking it seriously enough. He thought they would have figured out by now you have to approach it with a lot of respect. But they got a little carried away and became disrespectful, and Prabhupada saw it as an offense. So he said, from now on, get out, come out of the water. From now on, none of my disciples will be allowed to swim in Radha Kund. He was that upset. And so many devotees, ISKCON devotees, they still don't go into Radha Kund. Not that we shouldn't take a bath in it, but just to honor Prabhupada's exasperation. When I was at Radha Kund last, we didn't swim in it. We just we approached with respect. We took a few drops in our hand and prayed and placed on our head. That's it. And take a sip. It's okay. You can take a dip also. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But if the point being is that we want to approach it with a great deal of respect and care. And how does that tie in with your question? My point I'm trying to make is that ISKCON as an organization does not need to get in the business of trying to promote Radha Kund, to get more crowds there. That's not the point. Because there might be most likely making up more offense. So better you give as much instruction to devotees around the world on how to respect Radha Kund, and when they do go, they will approach it properly. So that's the whole point, to approach it with respect and care. Not necessarily to make it a popular spot. That's not for us. Thank you, Ram. Hare Krishna. All right. Anybody else have any comments? No questions? Vamsi Prabhu, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Just Dhanavad Pranam, Gurudev. Just a comment. I think beautiful explanation of Radha Kund. I think tonight I'm going to read. I think everybody needs to know how did this come about. The Radha Kund itself, from the 10th canto. It's a good time to refresh their pastimes. It's very, very beautifully presented. And I had the fortune of visiting that last year. I did exactly what he said, just there was one Brahmin, he was doing, he let us do the prayer a little bit, it was good. But you brought it almost, you took us, all of us, to Radha Kund with this last 3 presentations. Now I feel like the first 8 are heavy in the philosophy, but last 3 are so beautiful, so beautiful. You took us so much. Thank you. Yes. I think I'm going to read tonight.
Yes, definitely read up on Radha Kund. There's a lot to read about Radha Kund, how it came about, Srimati Radharani, how it's right next to Sham Kund. We were personally very fortunate also. Just like the day after we got married, we went straight to Vrindavan, and then we were taken to Radha Kund by Mother Vegavati and Mother Jagat-tarini. Jagat-tarini Mataji, she's, you may know her, she's a Prabhupada disciple. She's married to Bhurijan Prabhu. Bhurijan Prabhu, who's also a Prabhupada disciple. He's also, he's a teacher, and so Mother Jagat-tarini knows many details of Rajadham. And she gave us an incredible guided tour of how we sat at the bank, and then she showed in the spiritual realm. Radha Kund is a replica of spiritual realm Radha Kund. In the spiritual realm, there is a jeweled bridge that goes into the Radha Kund, and then at the end there's like a little place where the Radha and Krishna sit. And when she explained it, we could actually visualize it and literally saw it happening, made of diamonds. Like, wow, how is it possible to do this? So that place is magical. There's no question about it. You can feel it, the energy. So.
And I was also thinking about Raghunath Goswami, who his entire Vrindavan life, he stayed right on the bank of Radha Kund, meditating her. just a pastime that I was reading last night. When Rupa Goswami wrote Lalita Madhava,
Yes.
his first two, Vigada Madhava and
Lalita
Lalita Madhava, he gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami, and he never wanted to give it back. He just did not want to give it back. He kept it for so many days. And Rupa Goswami had to write a little booklet, a smaller book, just to exchange. He gave that smaller book to Raghunath Das Goswami, and then he gave the Lalita Madhava reluctantly back to Rupa Goswami. So that happened on the bank of Radha Kund. So beautiful.
Yes, many beautiful exchanges and pastimes. Thank you. So yes, I would urge all the devotees who assembled here to take Vamshi Prabhu's advice, read about Radha Kund, and you will not regret it. Yes. Hare Krishna. Dharnidhar Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Obeisances. Please go ahead, Dharnidhar Prabhu. You can unmute yourself. I see your hand is up. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And we are going for Kartik Yatra this year in October. So we will go and visit Radha Kund. With your instruction, we know how to do it now. We went there before a few times, but we never knew how to do it. So this time we will do what you said. So it will be very, very good instruction you said to us. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Please pray to Radha Kund that one day I can also come there and
we all go together.
One day I'll be qualified to approach Radha Kund. So yes, please pray for me. Hare Krishna. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dhanidhar Prabhu. Yes, anybody else have any comments or questions? Yes, Sandamani Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam,
Hare
Prabhuji, Srila
Bol,
Prabhupada. Wonderful, Prabhuji. You took us to Vrindavan, and I have never been to Vrindavan, but I'm just still praying in my heart, and please pray for me that I can go and see Vrindavan, the land where Krishna resides. Thank you, Prabhuji. This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. I'm hoping that we can all go, everybody who's in this class, we can all go together.
Absolutely,
that'll be
Prabhuji.
really
Going
nice.
with you would be a treat because you explain to folks like me who cannot understand complex things, but it's really it'll be a treat for all of us.
Maybe if you plan well enough in advance, we can all just go on the same flight, go together, spend a couple of weeks there, come back. Yes, thank you. Saurabh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Make it happen.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. Lots of respects. Full of gratitude. I was just gonna say, I was going to work today, and I'm like, I want to go, but I have work. I am so glad that I put my work aside. It was just beautiful. I just wanted to say that I've been lucky enough to go to Vrindavan and Govardhan Hill and Radha Kund. I had an amazing experience at Govardhan Hill, just unbelievable, hard to explain. But it brought back a lot of memories and the desire to go back. So again, I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so glad I put my work aside.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Bol. I'm glad you were able to join. Yes, Esha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a wonderful lecture. I have heard the glory of Radha Kund earlier from you in earlier lectures during Bhagavad classes, and I got opportunity again today, and I feel like we virtually traveled there and got chance to take all the advantages of Radha Kund. But I really wish whatever you said right now that we all want to go together. It will be like dream come true kind of a thing for us. And Prabhuji, I had one other general question. Like, I was thinking about doing karmas and how do we accumulate our like bondages, and for that to be conscious each and every second that Krishna is with us, and if we remember that Krishna is with us, we will not do anything which we are not supposed to do. So I wanted to understand, is there any practical way that we uh, that it is easier for us to remember that Krishna is always with us? Because I have realized in usual time, I can remember that yes, I have to chant, he's with me, uh, but when somebody tells something which I don't like or something like that, for those 10-15 minutes, I forget and I go on to those trips. And then after some time, I realize that, oh, yes, 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 I have to come back. So, is there any practical way to remember that I'm always surrounded
Yeah.
with Bhakti and Krishna?
Yes, it's a good question. Practical way to remember that Krishna is with me. Because a lot of times we do remember Krishna is with us, but a lot of the times we don't. Like sometimes we just become regular, secular, non-devotee. So there are some practical ways that Krishna is always with us, and mainly that he's lovingly watching over us. That's important. Not that he's with me, but he's being a cold judge of my weaknesses and pouncing on me whenever I slip up somewhere. No. He's lovingly, in a lovely way, watching over us. So how can we do that? There's a few mental practices we could try. Remind yourself that Krishna is beside you. So as you're moving through your day, watching you with the gentle, curious, affectionate gaze of a best friend. Think of that every now and then. And the more we think of that, more you have conversations with Krishna during the day. And if you feel a little anxious, if you feel a little alone, you can softly say in your mind, Krishna, are you watching me? And then listen carefully for the whisper in your heart. And Krishna will say, always. Always. You will hear it. The other things you could do. You carry an image or a symbol, you wear a little pendant, or keep a picture of baby Krishna or Radha Krishna or Gopal in your pocket, in your wallet. A lot of devotees on their phone lock screen have a picture of Krishna. Can't help it. You glance at it, you pause for a second, and you can think, oh yeah, you're still here, Krishna. You never leave me. That's wonderful. Then we have a daily practice of chanting that you should do. And not just the chanting of japa and your beads, but even if you put down your beads, you can still be chanting between things. You can also do a daily anchor. For example, pick one activity, brushing your teeth. When you pick up the toothbrush and the moment you put in the toothpaste on there, that moment, anchor it to Krishna. It's amazing. You'll see that. Try it tomorrow morning. Try to infuse that with so much love for Krishna. Like it's the most mundane thing, but you do it every day. You'll be amazed how powerful that works. Then the next thing, starting your car. When you put your key in the car, you can say, Ki Jai, right? Or you take your first sip of water. Right. Use it as a reminder to mentally greet Krishna. Good morning, Krishna. Please stay with me today. I know you're with me, but stay in my consciousness. When you look in the mirror, instead of just checking your appearance, you can whisper, Krishna, you're seeing me even now, isn't it? Feel the weight of his gaze. Not heavy, but comforting, like the embrace of someone who really knows you. And then, of course, there's a hearing about Krishna's playful, protective, romantic leelas. He's Bhakta Vatsalata, how he protects his devotees. He's not a distant God. He's deeply involved in devotees' lives. And sing simple bhajans. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari. Prabhupada used to sing that. And if you like journaling, you can journal a little bit, your daily bhakti movements. And Krishna has told us in Bhagavad Gita so many places, see nature as a reminder. He says the moon and the sun are my eyes, right? So we see the moon, see the sun, see the breeze as his touch, the birds as his musicians. And in San Diego, you have such rich natural beauty, And if you have an earthquake, you can think of Radha Kund, the epicenter. I remember I was at your house when the earthquake hit, right? And the windows are rattling. I was standing outside your house, like, what was that? That was crazy. That should remind us to Krishna too, So, yes, so Krishna's love is not based on our performance, it's based on his nature. His love for us is unconditional. So when you remember that he's watching you with love and not with judgmentalism, it becomes easier to be honest in your sadhana. It becomes easier to stay protected from Maya, and you'll never feel alone. You'll never feel alone. You'll feel the warmth of his presence. I hope that helps, Esha Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I always kept thinking that he is watching us from the distance and with the Sakshi Bhav, and he doesn't interrupt us, whatever karma we do, whatever way we want to go, he's just watching.
Yeah.
But you made it very clear that no, he's not only watching us. Thank you for answering that query too. He's trying to guide us on the correct path with his maybe other devotees like you, and through so many experiences which maybe I'm not yet there to understand or ready, but he's trying his best to keep me on his path. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Every breath you take, every move you make, he's watching you, right? Hare Krishna. Yes, Saurabh.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hi, I just wanted to add something. It's related, so just 20 seconds. So
Sure.
funny thing is, I had got this bracelet from Dwarka when I went, and then I found myself maybe, maybe not being the best version of myself, whatever small things it could be, not cleaning when my wife tells me vacuum, whatever it could be. But what I'm saying is, I ended up putting this at the feet of the deity that I have, that I was able to get from India this last trip. And I literally touched Krishna's feet, and I'm like, please help me be better. And then I keep it on. So
Yes.
anything small that you can do, so it's there. And I'm like, hey, I got this on. I got to be on my A game. So again, I thought I would just quickly share. That's call me crazy.
No, this is very good. These are symbols. That's why we surround ourselves with symbols of Krishna's presence in our lives, especially something visible. Put in your hand, put a little locket. That's why you're on the phone, anything that reminds you. Let's do it. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Rama Mataji.
Well, Hare Krishna.
Hare
I
Krishna.
have a small comment question, but I'm kind of nervous. So
Okay.
I hope everyone will stay my friend and please don't judge me. But my comment question is what about for people like me, like someone like me who is listening to everyone? They have so much enthusiasm to go to Radha. They're so blissful, and then someone like me, I feel very nervous. I feel very anxious. Like I want to stay at the picnic, so to speak. Like the picnic, that's like my safe space. Like the Leelas of Krishna that's like my safe space. I want to stay there. And thinking about going past that makes me feel very nervous and very anxious, and like I'm not ready, or like and then I feel sad because I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why don't I have this enthusiasm? Why don't I have this excitement to go further, to go past, like why do I want to stay like in this, like in that safe space? And I don't really know what to do or how to take the next step or what, like, I'm kind of just like, that's just like, that's just like where I'm at. And I've kind of been in that same place for like a long time where I'm like, I can't go past that, like out there and to the next level or to the next, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, and I want to have that, and I want to have what that enthusiasm like everyone else has. And then I'm like, but the forest, the, the forest pastime with Krishna and the cowherd boys, that's like where I like to stay. It's like my safe spot. And feel very nervous to go past that.
Yes. Radha Kund is not a race. It's a revelation. And thank you for opening up your heart and your vulnerability. It's not easy to do. And we completely respect it, of course. We are all on a unique devotional journey. Just as a child must first learn to walk before they can dance, the heart must first feel safe, feel seen and steady in its relationship with Krishna before it can hold the deeper currents of Radha Dasyam, the service to Radharani. We don't need to rush ourselves. And even if others are rushing in, we don't need to feel that it's, I'm behind or I'm ahead or even anxious. We move at our own pace. And not everybody not everybody is necessarily who is showing enthusiasm externally has the requisite qualification and the level of, trepidation that's required. You have it, oodles. So it's a good thing actually, because you're not, you know what I'm saying now? I hope you understand what I'm saying, because it requires a level of, very serious level of gravity. So, we should approach it with that level of trepidation. And we feel more safe with Krishna in this picnic. Maybe there's less chance of being offensive there, or whatever. Possibly. That's why we feel safe.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. First of all, there's nothing inferior about serving Krishna in the safe space. Okay? Mother Yashoda, loves Krishna as a child. She doesn't go to Radha Kund. Is her love inferior? No. If someone loves child Krishna or finds joy picturing him with the calves in Vrindavan, or even prefers Lord Narayan, that is not lower. Wait, how can you say it's not lower? There's a verse that talks about, right, Mathura and all that. It's not lower because we're talking about the difference between tattva and rasa. We've talked about this before. A lot of the times our anxiety and even confusion arises from not seeing what platform am I talking on, tattva or rasa. On the platform of tattva, which is Vishnu tattva, Krishna is Rama, is Nrsimhadev, is Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna in Dwarka, is the same person. And therefore it's absolute Vaishnavism. Nanda Maharaj worshipped Krishna as a form of Lord Nrsimhadev, the deity of Nanda Maharaj Nrsimhadev. You may not know this. But he's also worshipping Krishna as his son, as a little boy. But he's not worshipped. That's his engagement, but how he worships. So we don't need to be too worried. There's nothing inferior about that particular thing. It's just that, according to Mahaprabhu, certain rasas are considered more intimate because there's more flexibility available there. There's more closeness. You see, there's plenty of irreverence among the cowherd boy picnic scenes, where the cowherd boys jump on Krishna's shoulder. There's a lot of intimacy and sweetness there too. You see, so we don't need to get too worried. It's not lower, it's authentic. And you've tapped into the authenticity because it's close to your heart. That's rare to begin with, that you can, you find some solace there. For most of us, it's still theoretical. You're already there in your heart space. So you're way ahead of most people anyway, because you find safety there. You know what I'm trying to say? It's to find safety in your heart there is a huge platform that very few devotees even reach. Okay? So don't consider that anything less. Radha Kunda is more than just romantic. It's relational. It's the epicenter of Krishna's romantic pastimes, yes. But the core principle of Radha Kunda is not romance. It is Radha Rani's selfless loving service. That's the element of it. And that element can be found in your safe space of the Vrindavan picnic spot. See? So even if you approach the mood, oh Radharani, I don't know how to love you, how to love like you do, but I want to learn to serve like you do. That's enough. That is Manjari Bhava. That's the path of Manjari Bhava. It's taught by the Goswamis. It's not sensual. It is utterly selfless. See? And another point is, don't force what doesn't flow. Follow your natural attraction. Bhaktivinoda says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes that a rasa must arise spontaneously. Don't force a rasa. Not by imitation or by pressure, but by spontaneous attraction. It may be an inkling, or it may be a pointer to your eternal relationship with Krishna. May or may not be, not necessarily, but it may be. Now, Srila Prabhupada himself rarely discussed intimate leelas in public lectures anyway. He kept that mood very inclusive and accessible internally, though, focusing on chanting and serving in humility. See? So if we are not yet feeling inspired by Radha Kunda's intimate mood, we can reverentially admire it from the distance of our present sincerity. That's important. We can admire it. Don't have to run there. We can admire it. We can send kudos to those who are already there. That's fine. But we can smile as we are still feeling secure where we are. And that's fine. So it's not a spiritual defect. It's a sign of humility and psychological grounding. Bhakti is not about pretending to be somewhere we are not. It's about lovingly walking the path, step by step, at Krishna's pace. Hare Krishna. I hope that helps. Okay, we've gone way over time. So I want to thank you all once again for joining this evening, this morning for some of you. And we look forward to seeing all of you next Tuesday to wrap up this last session in this series. And then we can decide if we want to do more of anything. But for now, it's going to be the end of this series. And then one more session. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and obeisances to all of you.
Thank you, Gurudev. Dandavad pranam.
Thank
Jai
you
Shri
so
Ram.
much, Madana-gopāla Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nectar.
Haribol,
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
thank you so much.
Haribol.
Thank
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mother World, Prabhu.